Celebrities always appear to be larger than life, and usually that's because they are surrounded by assistants that help prop up their image. Sometimes, though, these assistants outright expose their celebrity bosses and in the process reveal the truth behind who these people really are. Today we're counting down the top 10 entitled celebrities exposed by their former assistants, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And that out of the way, let's begin. Coming in number 10, Kourtney Kardashian. Now, although Kourtney may seem like one of the more rational Kardashians, this story from her former nanny is a bit nuts. A nanny who had previously worked for the reality show star exposed Kourtney and her ridiculous requests. While speaking with Star magazine, the ex-nanny revealed that Kourtney demanded to never be called by her first name. Instead, she preferred to be called Madam, not Ma'am, but Madam. In the interview, she says, "She asked me to call her Madam at all times. I once slipped up and called her Kourtney and she threw a hissy fit. I never made that mistake again." Yeesh. Coming in number 9, Lady Gaga. Back in 2013, Lady Gaga's former assistant Jennifer O'Neill went after the singer, claiming that she was taking her to court for unpaid overtime wages. Within the court documents, Jennifer said that she had to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, adding that she even had to frequently sleep in the same bed as Gaga because she never had her own hotel room while they were on tour together. Plus, it was faster if Lady Gaga needed anything in the night. According to Gaga, though, she claimed that Jennifer was suing her for money that she didn't earn. Jennifer was asking for nearly $400,000 in overtime pay and further damages after having to be at the singer's beck and call from 2009 to 2011. Her annual salary for this job was $75K, and in the deposition, Lady Gaga said that she didn't deserve a penny more. Although something must have happened because later court filings say that they had come to a settlement outside of court. In a break, Christian Bale. Harrison Chung worked as Christian Bale's personal assistant for over a decade and even wrote a book called Christian Bale: The Inside Story of the Darkest Batman. And the stories he tells about the star in this book are absolutely insane. In one portion exposing Bale, he says, "If Christian was away filming on location, I would take care of his 5 pets, along with stray possums in the backyard as a special request. I would do anything from sniffing Christian's armpits for BO right before he hit the red carpet to making emergency sock runs if Christian was all out of clean ones. Sometimes duties were as exciting as traveling to film festivals and as dull as watching Christian surf in case something needed to be done on shore. I just can't get over the fact that he actually hired someone to sniff his armpits." Harrison would later tell the Daily Mail that it took 5 years of therapy to get past the post-traumatic stress he had from working with Bale. In number 7, Scott Rudin. You may have never even heard of Scott Rudin before, but he actually holds the unofficial crown of being Hollywood's most feared boss. Forever, he was upheld as being this legendary producer of The Truman Show and many other big films, although his revolving door of former assistants revealed some pretty wild stories about him. Apparently, he had as many as 250 assistants from the year 2000 to 2005, one of which was fired for bringing him a bad breakfast muffin. What's crazy here, though, is that even as his ex-assistants blasted him in the press for how terrible he was, he just embraced it and claimed to have an unforgiving management style. Although that certainly does not excuse the accounts I read about assistants being overworked, dealing with his random fits of rage, and having the occasional object tossed at them. Coming in number 6, Ben Stiller. Usually when we see Ben Stiller on screen, he's playing this nice guy, but as we all know, celebrities are usually quite different in person. And according to a former assistant that worked with Ben during his time on the set of Zoolander, Ben can be quite bizarre. On his first day working, this assistant was told all of the do's and don'ts of handling Ben Stiller's every need. In fact, there were even specific instructions about how he liked his iced tea. According to them, it had to be unsweetened, and then it had to be sweetened with 1.5 packs of Splenda inside and 16 ounces of unsweetened iced tea on top of that. The assistant recounted one time that they brought Stiller his iced tea in a paper cup, and then he was told to get a glass, put more ice in the glass, then pour the iced tea from the paper cup into the glass. Then upon obliging to this request, Ben took one sip and said, "What the hell is this?" And he was referring to the condensation that had formed on the glass, which would have been avoided had he just drank out of the paper cup. But regardless, he asked his assistant to continually wipe off the condensation for him. Apparently, Ben doesn't like it when his hands get wet because if he has to shake someone else's hands, then they might think that he has sweaty palms, and that's a no-go, apparently. And at number 5, Charlize Theron. According to an interview Charlize Theron's former assistant did with Star magazine, the assistant was not allowed to speak or even look at her. Then one of her former nannies also revealed that if she had anything to communicate with her boss about the kids, she actually had to just write it down in a diary. Not exactly the best way to inform a parent about what's been going on with their own kids. Hopefully she put in some exception in case of emergencies, because I could see a number of ways that this terrible rule could go wrong. She can't even say that she just doesn't doesn't have time to talk to them, because if this diary thing is true, then she has to find some time to sit down and read the odd journal entries from her staff. Like, I just picture Charlize Theron sitting there and just, "Dear diary, I hate my boss." I wonder if anyone's actually wrote that. They should. They should. Maybe on your last day. I guess that would be your last day if you wrote that in there. Either way, let's move on to the next one. In at number 4, Jennifer Lopez. Believe it or not, but Jenny from the block has had an awful history of treating employees of hers poorly, from chauffeurs getting tired of driving her around without proper meal breaks, to people like her makeup artist being shunned after accidentally leaking details about her marriage to Mark Anthony. Although nothing compares to what her former assistant told Gawker about. According to the assistant, this is what J-Lo said she required from them. The person has to be graceful under pressure, have thick skin, and be resourceful in foreign countries. You'll be on call 24/7, you have to change diapers, work on little sleep, and cook if the butler is away. You have to know when J-Lo has her snack time, she won't say she's hungry, and you're expected to have food waiting. Wasn't that nice? In number 3, Naomi Campbell. This was one of those more infamous cases of a celebrity being exposed by their former assistant, and it still is actually a reputation that Naomi lives with today. In 2007, Campbell pleaded guilty to attacking her maid by hitting her in the head with a cell phone. As a result, she had to take anger management classes and serve a 5-day sentence of community service, plus cover her maid's hospital bills. The assistant also claimed that she grabbed her by the arms and threw her down on a couch. And during an interview with Elle magazine in 2013, she discussed this and said that she regretted losing her temper. Naomi says, and I quote, "I'm never going to get away from it. It's part of my history. I was remorseful and regretful. I've served, I did that time, and I never want to be in that position again." Coming number 2, Soulja Boy. A report came out from The Guardian that said Soulja Boy, the rapper, was being sued by his former personal assistant. In the lawsuit, she accused him of doing a number of heinous things, from locking her in a room to subjecting her to all kinds of different abuse. The 30-year-old musician is alleged to have locked the unnamed female assistant in a room for 3 days and assaulted her repeatedly during that time. Along with that, the claimant is also alleging that he abused her physically, verbally, and even would withhold her paychecks. The woman began working for Soulja Boy in December of 2018, and according to her, she was expected to not only be available at all times, but also to cook, clean, chauffeur, style his hair, and perform personal assistant tasks for him as well. In return for her working 20 hours a day and 7 days a week, he had promised her a payment of $500 per week. The lawsuit also states that after a month of working for him, he began sending unsolicited and inappropriate photos to her. Not exactly the best kind of boss, but our number 1 spot isn't either. Coming in at number 1, Harvey Weinstein. Now, we all pretty much know about the heinous things that Harvey Weinstein did, so finding out that he also mistreated his former assistant shouldn't come as that much of a shock. Back in May of 2020, Harvey's former assistant broke her non-disclosure agreement to discuss how this disgraced movie producer had treated her. First off, while she was working as a new assistant at Miramax, she said that she and Weinstein were discussing film productions and scripts in a late-night meeting when she declined his request for a massage. He then allegedly pushed her onto the bed before she managed to escape the room. She then had to keep this a secret for over 20 years because of that NDA that she had signed. All staff at Miramax that signed that NDA had the fear of God put into them so that they never reached out for emotional support. While speaking with the press, she said, "We were told by our own lawyer, not even just Harvey's lawyers, that we must treat this time as a black hole. It said very specifically in our contract that we can only refer in very general terms to having worked for Harvey, and we can never talk in any detail about any aspect of our life during this time ever to anybody, not just the media and lawyers and doctors and therapists, but there was also a clause about friends and family. It locked us out of any type of emotional support whatsoever." Absolutely disgraceful. Unreal. Well, he's serving his time now. But folks, that has been the top 10 entitled celebrities exposed by their former assistants. Don't forget to drop us a comment down below with your thoughts on today's video. For now, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.